And welcome back to Ozcat Radio 89.5 FM KZCT Vallejo. Timmy Fitz, Stevie B bringing you the Blitz today. Timmy, last show?
Way to bring it back, Bab, there on this Fitz Blitz finale. We're really in it. We're in the Fitz Blitz finale here on Ozcat Radio. And, like I said, I'm moving up to St. Mary's in Moraga. Chance for a D1 mid-major, and that job's going to kind of take me away from it, from being able to do the Blitz. So, hopefully I can pass this torch to you here, and hopefully, we can enjoy and maybe celebrate. Oh, yeah, let's...
that sweet sound of the cork, baby.
Well, let's enjoy this final Fitz Blitz. It really struck me last night. You guys may have seen me tweet this last night at TimmyFitz76, that... Here I am, breaking down an NFL game for maybe the last time for a while. Like, even when I come on with you in segments, it won't be quite like this. It won't be, really breaking the games down like that. It'll be kind of hot topics. It'll be Blitz. It'll be like how we used to start the show with the 4 downs.
Yes.
It's going to be kind of like that, So, man, and this used to I used to enjoy this so much, watching the all 22 shots of NFL games, and now I'm in this strange place with the NFL. Like, I'm definitely like the separation from the Raiders is a full divorce now. Like, the paperwork is in. Just real talk, okay? Like, the analogy just keeps going. Because, like, I see them around the holidays. Like, that was when I was watching. Like, oh, okay. And I'm basically, I keep the analogy going. I'm like, I'm only talking to her while Derek's still in the house. Once he's out, I'm not going to have to deal with her anymore. Derek Carr, clearly who I'm talking about here. So that's divorced, and I moved in with the Niners for a little while.
Just got to fill it out.
Just because we lived here. We're like, okay, we'll share the space, to cover them on the Blitz, basically. So if I'm stepping away from that, I can kind of step away from NFL as well.
Yeah, and it really seems like, especially with these 2 preseason games, that the Raiders have kind of stepped away from the Bay.
Yeah.
And the prices for preseason games to go down there to their new stadium
really
are out of control.
Okay, interesting.
Like, I'm talking, I heard that the first game, their home opener, $550 range for nosebleed.
Gosh.
On top of having to travel to Vegas, find accommodations, which honestly, they're But you add, say, even a $100 flight, $50 hotel on top of a $500 ticket. Mm-hmm. That's out of range for a lot of people, especially a lot of Oakland A's fans who, they showed up in force here in Oakland. And especially when you had a team that divorced you and then came back for another round, and decided that it's just not working out again. Yeah. And, I understand wanting to root for your team and be a fan, but now they're kind of pricing themselves out of attendance. Mm-hmm. Now, it's going to be the first full season with fans, and they're going to have fans show up, but it's not going to be like the Coliseum.
No, they think they're a destination now. They're like, they're the same as going to some concert from somebody that's working the Vegas circuit. That's what they've become now. They're a Vegas circuit act there to come be seen.
They're the Celine Dion of the NFL now.
Yeah, they definitely have that aspect to them. So, it won't be the same. No. We'll see. They'll get their dollars, but that atmosphere, you'll get, of course, the diehards in the shoulder pads and the spikes.
Who have the ability.
We'll be there, but it's still tough for them, yes.
Yeah, and to be honest, I don't know how much of that black hole atmosphere that they even tried to reclaim or claim again or bring with them. Just looking at the setup of the stadium, it is extremely corporate down towards the field. And that was not seen in Oakland at all. The end zones were for the fans.
Those were sacred ground, yes.
Oh, my gosh, definitely. And now it just kind of looks like corporate tickets. And especially if you're having to pay upwards of $400 plus, $500 plus for nosebleeds. You're not getting a lot of energy from that upper level.
No, and there's a lot of sort of little box suite sort of stuff down there at the field level now.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
Great concept. Cool. but I ain't going to, that's not what the black hole's there for.
No, and you're going to see a lot of guys in khakis and polos.
Yeah.
Patagonia vests. And that's just what it's going to be. And you're going to have to, as a Raider fan, get used to that because boxes are technically, those are mostly corporate dollars. Yeah. Because to get one of those boxes, $20K, like you're not coming out of pocket if you're in the black hole $20K to bring the black hole to one of those boxes. Now, if you're a corporation, absolutely. Yeah, why not send 20 of your guys into one of those boxes or whatever the capacity is because you can afford to pay it. But those guys aren't going to be cheering like Oakland fans cheered.
Not the same. And, the poor Chargers are an orphan living in somebody else's house right now too.
Yeah.
I get the feeling that I still think this is temporary and they go back to San Diego at some point. I don't know. It's in my head still.
Yeah, or another stadium. Because
possibly
this sharing, I don't think is going to work. Like it works in New York. Mm-hmm. It works for the Jets and the Giants, but it's not in New York.
Yeah,
it's in New Jersey.
Yeah,
and so this hybrid stadium, you're seeing things come out now that fans are allowed to go in. The food is garbage. The hot dogs look worse than a Dodger dog, that's an accomplishment in and of itself. And it's just from what I'm hearing, it's a lot of not a lot of division. But not a lot of division between two separate teams. Mm-hmm. They're sharing the same home facilities. Like you've got guys sharing the same locker room.
It's bad, yeah.
And that's you just spent money on this stadium. You couldn't have two locker rooms?
Yeah.
That just seems weird. I think even there's two home locker rooms at Chase Center.
Yeah.
Just because they're preparing for possibly anything down the road.
Well, whatchamacallit, Levi's is built for that.
Yeah, Levi's is built for that.
They were totally built for that.
Because they were anticipating possible Raiders moving into Levi's.
Yeah,
which
they were like keeping that option open, yeah.
That would have been fantastic for Mark Davis to do because it would have kept him in the game. It would have drove Raider fans nuts. But what's going to drive you more nuts? A plane ticket or having to drive to the South Bay?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Is it easier to get to Vegas than Santa Clara from here? It might be.
Maybe, depending on traffic, but it's the Bay Area. You budget time for that. $125 plane ticket or sitting in traffic for 45 minutes extra.
Yeah. So, poor Greg Papa trying to call this game last night definitely referred to the Chargers as the Rams twice. In one section there before he corrected himself before going to break. And I can't blame him because you talk about the lack of division. They're in the same color scheme now. Like, it's almost the look. They both went with this newer look in the uniforms. Like, I hate the Rams in uniform. Yeah. It's grotesque. It's too, and the poor Chargers having to play second fiddle in that town.
Yeah, and you even look at the lightning bolt for the Chargers and you look at the ram horns. There's a lot of similarities there, unfortunately. And, at least in baseball, LA's got a blue team and a red team.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And the Chargers, I'm not saying completely change your color scheme. There's a lot of hate on my black Niner jersey over the weekend. And I understand rooting for your team and, repping their colors. But, are we in that much of a difficult society where you can't root for a team not wearing their traditional colors, Yeah. And so, the Rams make an adjustment. Go back to those old school white and blue, where it was a darker blue, a richer blue. We mentioned L'Oneal last week on the show. Like those Charger uniforms before they went, before they went to the powder. Yeah. The powder blue worked in San Diego.
Yeah, and that's their look. Like that was their look in the 70s that they deserve to have. The Rams, why don't you go back to your 70s then? That nice little Marlon Olsen with the blue horn and they were in more of a navy blue, but just the white. Like that was cool. Or rock that Jim Everett era, Flipper Anderson era stuff again. The Henry Hillard time period with the true blue and gold. I don't know what they're doing. Anyway. Yeah. I don't think they're going to be a threat to you in the West. Can I tell you that this year?
Yeah.
I'd worry more about Seattle and Arizona. Someone tells me the Rams are going to slide. And it won't be Stafford's fault, but it's just, I don't know. I doubt that franchise constantly.
Yeah, there's just not a lot of consistency.
Yeah, I think
And, we mentioned in the past them getting too cute for their own good.
Yes.
And I think you're going to see a lot of that, especially with the new personnel. You're not going to see Stafford the Detroit Stafford, where he's gunslinging downfield. I don't know if
they don't run it quite that way.
No, they don't. And they run it with a lot more of a new school offense. And they did the exact opposite, I think, in Detroit, where Stafford's numbers are, in my opinion, incredibly inflated because they didn't have much of a running game.
Yeah, that's what it is. Well, you know, and it's hard to... Neither did Dan Marino. So it's tough to know what to do with that. You play where you play. And,
but I don't think Stafford's a Dan Marino. And even some of Dan Marino's numbers, were kind of inflated. But what happened as soon as he got a running game with Terrell Davis?
Yeah.
They rattled off 2 Super Bowl wins.
John Elway, yes.
John Elway. Oh, I'm sorry. John Elway. Yeah. But Dan...
Same.
Yeah, but same kind of situation. And you're right. Dan Marino balled out in Miami, but for what?
Yeah.
Stafford balled out in Detroit. But for what? Yeah. You can only get so far.
The guys who have put up, Dan Fouts. You look at some of those top leaderboard guys, classically, at least over the years, before Manning began climbing those charts and Brady. Yeah, it was. That's what it took. Now that's a little more common to sling it around quite a bit. But something about the Rams still. I'm not buying yet, I guess is what it is.
No, and I'm actually a Jared Goff fan. Like, I thought Goff could still get it done in LA. You just needed, he lost his running back,
Yeah, that didn't help.
Not at all. And, Gurley was the next guy. And when he was on, where'd they go? And so losing that, I think, hurt Goff more than what Goff actually did on the field, because Goff is a capable quarterback. He's an NFL starter, and he's, health wise, he's going to start all 17 games this season. It's just, he is that guy that can win games. You just got to put him in that position to win.
Yeah. It is the Fitz Blitz here on 89.5 FM KZCT Vallejo. And we're going to break down this Niners-Chargers game in the Fitz Blitz finale. Breaking down an NFL game one more time. My ultimate takeaway, Bab, from this game, the same as last week for me.
Absolutely.
Regarding this QB evaluation. I want to hit that word again. QB evaluation. Evaluation. There isn't even a competition for me, much less a controversy. Okay? Any controversy would be manufactured. Competition really isn't even the word I'm feeling here either. This is just evaluations right now. Both had passes go through wide receivers' hands for picks.
Yep.
Right? A little high. While, apparently the guy on that FM station, who I don't know how he's qualified to be on it, and to rip the broadcast crew of the Niners to say that Greg Papa and Tim Ryan were being overly critical of the quarterbacks, and that the run game element that the rookie brings is the difference. We didn't see it. They're not doing enough. Okay, dog, it's preseason.
Yeah.
If you're going to show your read option plays right now, just hand in your clipboard. Just don't play this. Don't coach this in a preseason game. So, the nonsense is still going elsewhere, and we're just trudging along, and I'm glad even people on his own show are telling him he's crazy.
Yeah, and in literally the same sentence, hypes up Trey, and then says that you can't go off of preseason numbers to judge Jimmy G. Yeah, we've seen Jimmy G not play a lot in the preseason. Just Kyle Shanahan's not going to throw him out there. He's not going to have him do a whole lot. He's going to have him get a little game ready, take a hit, even hold on the ball too long so you can't take a hit. And Jimmy said in the first game, I wish I could have taken more hits because I need to get that feeling again of being back, in the game. And you're not seeing anything. Like, these play calls are so generic and vanilla. And I mean, you've got half the coaches in the league not even playing their starting quarterback in any of this preseason.
Yeah, we didn't see the Chargers starter last night.
No. And, it's just one of those things. I mean, Stick actually played pretty well.
Yeah, he did fine.
He's a capable backup for that team. But you can't glean anything. And Kyle Shanahan said something incredibly funny. He was asked by Matt Mayoko post-game yesterday if he's made a choice at starting quarterback week 1. I'm not going to answer that right now. Literally, that's all he said. Now, everybody's blowing that up.
Oh, yeah.
Said morning station said exactly what we said last week about media outlets reporting different things.
Okay.
He said, we're seeing a 5-yard pass and 5 different people are analyzing it differently. I texted in, I said, you're one of those 5. You're not seeing what knowledgeable and competent people are seeing, and people with a level head. One, it's practice. Two, they're not going to show you anything. And you're getting what we expected to see a rookie.
Oh, yeah.
He is a rookie, and you have to understand that. And, you know, one of my texts were actually read on the air, and I said, you start Trey Lance week 1. You're saying you don't want to win now.
It's a white flag.
Yeah. You don't want to win now. And if he goes 0-3, what, are you going to bring Jimmy back in?
Then you're behind the 8 ball. It's too late.
For the season, you're behind the 8 ball. I was listening to a nationally syndicated show last night on my way home from work on Fox Radio, which, you know, I listen to time from time just to help get a national perspective.
Oh, yeah.
The over-under win total for the Niners this season is 10.5.
Sure.
Which that's a good spot to kind of be in.
Right. Yeah.
I would take the over. They, last night on the show, unanimously took the under.
No kidding. See, I've got them I've got 11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The reason being, and this proves East Coast bias, and this proves they do not watch Niner games. They only had 6 wins last season. How are they going to make up 5 in one season?
Did you see their injured list?
Seriously? They had the most injuries in all of NFL last year. And anytime you lose your starting quarterback, your season's done. You can't rely on any numbers or stats, any win-loss record when your quarterback, week 2 was hurt, tried to come back, tried to play through an injury. For all of you out there that don't think Jimmy G is tough, he will leave his entire everything out on the field. And it's just,
amen.
It's just nonsensical. I'm going to keep coming back to that word, I think. And I even toyed around with that being a show name idea, which look for me on Twitter later. I'm going to have a little poll up on possible show names just to get a little feedback out there.
Yeah, that's embarrassing for whoever this East Coast show is, that they're not aware of the man games lost leads to 6 wins that from a team that had just won its conference the year before.
Yeah, and what's funny about this nationally syndicated show, since it's on later in the evening, all of these broadcasters are on the West Coast, Las Vegas or LA.
Really?
And it just goes to show that even if you're here in this time zone, people still aren't watching. And it's just unfortunate that these narratives get repeated over and over by people that are supposedly respected in sports broadcasting, when literally they're just regurgitating stuff that they heard because they're not actually watching anything with their own eyes. And I think and that's what broadcasters are paid to do, to analyze from a non-fanboy perspective and to give you their trusted opinion on what they're seeing, and from an actual breakdown point of view, to give their listener, who may be more of a casual fan or maybe not that into it, some insight into what the team is actually doing. And you're seeing it if you're on Twitter and any type of sports Twitter, you're seeing these narratives and this clickbait be regurgitated by almost the entire fan base. And it's the ones that are paying attention, it's splitting them off. And it's really getting irritating and annoying out there for a lot of people. And a lot of my friends, they'll joke around, but they know what's going on, and they know what they're seeing, and they're seeing a rookie quarterback in Trey Lance.
I'm glad you point that out, Bab, that it is our job in this situation to maybe break it down for the casual fan, not to just be just like them or fan the flames or just a nod along and you know, give them what they want in some ways. It's to break it down, and I'm glad you talked about seeing it yourself, because if I don't watch the game myself, I'm not commenting on it, just to be honest with you, you know? So I watched the 11 p.m. replay of this game last night on the CW. I actually loved the editing, like it's cut for a replay, jumping through some stuff. I want to always watch football this way. That was great.
The Giants do that on their replays.
Okay.
And they will actually skip entire half innings.
It's like the condensed games almost.
Yeah, and if anybody out there that complains about baseball's length of games, go watch the replays. Yeah, and it's kind of like the red zone. right? So you're getting the action. You're not getting the lull. And if team goes 3 and out, they're not going to show it. They're going to show hits. They're going to show, if it's a spectacular defensive play, then they'll show that half inning or whatever. They'll piece it together. But you're right. The editing is perfect.
It was good. They were cutting the huddle and the in-between play stuff. They didn't cut any plays. There was no, we will now move ahead in time to fit the... But they cut some of the junk that happens between pitches. The same thing, but football gets a pass on it because there's a clock going and people see it and they're running around. It feels like there's a sense of urgency. It's like even
there's activity.
I think even if there was a pitch clock in baseball, just for the act of showing that to people. See, that only took 20 seconds right there.
Yeah.
Oh, that wasn't that bad between pitches. Duh. Right? Okay. So, actually watch this game, and the analysis is this for Jimmy Garoppolo. He still always seems to go to the right guy. Like, it seems like that's the proper read. The choice he makes was the right choice. That's the thing that it always seems to be with him. He threw to that hold on Ayuk early in the game. He saw it. He said, "Oh, hold! I'm going to throw over there." Gets that call. Like, that's a Peyton Manning-esque play. When you see that grab over there, I'm going to throw it over there. I see Derek Carr do that a lot. Like, just held my tight end. I'm going to throw it to him. Now they call it because they're looking that way now because the ball's going there. You have to make the ref's eyes go to that holding call is what you do, and he did it right there. He gets hit on a throw early on to Ayuk, the one that kind of sails.
Yeah.
But he gets hit from behind. The tight end didn't. In fact, it was Tim Ryan saying he didn't engage with his block well enough there. Stay engaged. And that's
right.
why that one falls. Another incompletion is a busted wide receiver screen on a bootleg play fake that he just chucks into the ground. Okay, so that's on his ledger of his 3 for 6, right, or whatever. So on the INT, he throws it a little high. But Ayuk doesn't time his jump well. You can tell he jumped too soon.
And still hit his hands.
And it hits him in his hands. He doesn't haul in it. But, yes, Jimmy's got to adjust to throwing to one of his shorter receivers. Yes, bring that down a little bit. Maybe Ayuk's not deep enough on the route. You know what I'm saying? That's the stuff that leads to the Jim Mora, you think you know, but you don't know rant. You don't look at the film. You don't know what they're trying to do. Did he run that route too short? We don't know. We think we know, but we don't know. And so that's in there. But, again, does need to bring this throw down. The last thing I'll say about that pick also is preseason.
Yeah.
Okay, preseason. And I mean that in a rust factor kind of way.
Exactly.
This is, again, yes, coming off of another injury is Jimmy. But here we are, bad. We're breaking down one single bad throw as this need or some sort of proof that he's not fit to be the starter anymore.
Yeah, and I hear a lot of what does Jimmy do better than Trey? Win NFL games. Know the system. Make reads and progressions. Hang in the pocket and be able to take a hit while still trying to get the ball downfield. He's tough. We don't know how tough Trey Lance is yet. We don't know how he's going to be with this playbook. He could be completely up to speed. He's not up to game speed. He's not up to NFL game speed. Bringing it back to my guy, Jim Kozimor, said earlier on the radio that there was one play where Trey gets up to the line and he just stares to his left. He was staring so far left. I think he could have lined up under guard, and staring down at his receivers. That is what a rookie will do.
Yeah.
And he's playing against second and third stringers. The game speed right now isn't going to be what he sees in the regular season, if he even sees the regular season. And he echoed what we've been echoing and what I said a few weeks ago, and then 5 days later Shanahan came out and said the same thing. He'll see the field, but it'll be a wrinkle.
Yeah.
And it'll be, maybe a run pass option. Maybe something he gets up to the line, calls an audible, and then hands the ball off.
Everybody references the Saints formula they've had recently. This is actually the slash formula. I think of Cordell Stewart as the first one that got used like this. Yeah,
and because Cordell was incredibly athletic, and he had, I think Michael Vick before Michael Vick. Yeah. And that was, the formula for that type of quarterback. And, a lot of times it's going to be just the idea of him running, and it'll be a jet sweep motion. It'll be something else with Ayuk or, Deebo Samuel ripping across the back. But he will have that threat, whether he uses it or not. And that'll be enough for Shanahan's playbook to be able to add that wrinkle. And especially in situations in games where, maybe they want to sustain a drive, or maybe it's 3rd and 7, or even 3rd and short, because it'll add that piece of maybe he'll run and sneak for 3 or 4 yards. Yeah. And it's going to be fun to watch if you're a Niner fan, but just prepare yourself that a healthy Jimmy will start all 17.
And we also saw Garoppolo move well, get a 10-yard run for a first down, breaking up the middle out of the pocket really nicely on a play, which is good for a guy coming off an ankle injury, right? Yeah.
And I don't really get the criticism of him not being athletic. And I heard a comparison to Steve Young and some revisionist history this morning saying that Steve Young was an awesome runner. Steve Young would run, but it didn't look awesome. He fumbled, bumbled, he was not the most athletic guy in the world. However, he was tough, and he would do whatever he had to do to win a game. And that's what I see in Jimmy. And, he blew his ACL running trying to pick up an extra yard. Yeah. And it was a non-contact play where he blew it. And he did end up getting hit also late. Yeah. While he was off the sideline, which nobody talks about. Mm-hmm. He took that and got a blown ACL. And he was trying to get that extra yard. And that's what Jimmy's going to do, a la Steve Young, what he's got to do, what he's asked to do. And if that pocket breaks down and it's 3rd and 4, he's going to get you that first down.
Again, Trey does well against a second-team defense. With a second-team inside linebacker, Bab, number 31, he left his guy on that 41-yard deep ball. But hey, way to find the blown coverage. I got a killer matchup over here with a slot receiver being covered by a weak side linebacker. I've got to go for this. And he blew the coverage. He thought it was zone. It's man. I'm going to hit this guy right in between the two. Good job, kid. Good job. Okay, that's great. In fact, number 31 would blow 2 more coverages, including one on the touchdown at the end of the first half that Trey Lance does throw. And again, hello read option with Trey Lance in. That's a nice wrinkle to have. But he has an ugly duck high off the hands of Samuel that luckily fell to the ground, unlike the one that Garoppolo had where Asante Samuel Jr. gets that one off of Ayuk's hands. It's Deebo Samuel that doesn't haul this one in. It's that too hot duck up high. Then he has a high throw on the next series that does get picked off, does Trey Lance. An ugly, happy foot throw on the first play of that next series. Then gets sacked 2 plays later due to rookie indecisiveness rolling out. When you can chuck that ball away, that would be the end of his night against starting caliber players. Ugly duck high off the hands of Samuel. Falls to the ground. A high throw that does get picked off. Then the ugly happy feet throw. A sack 2 plays later. That's what he looked like against starting 3/4 of a starting Charger defense. That does not say plug and play in week 1 to me.
Not at all. And what's not being talked about a little bit is about his speed of delivery and his throw and a lot of power behind it. He's got a strong arm.
Oh, big time.
Touch comes with experience. And you don't play him right away to get him that experience. You hang him back.
Yeah.
You let him see and develop. And he's had some ugly downfield throws.
He's gripping the ball too hard.
Yeah.
He is definitely squeezing that ball, and that's not how you do it.
And what's not being talked about are these ducks that he's throwing.
Yeah.
Like, he's not a dart thrower right now.
No.
He has the ability, and he will be that dart thrower and also develop a touch. But downfield, he's throwing ugly ducklings. And it's just, that, for those of you out there that don't know, that's the wobbly throw. Yeah. That's what it looks like when I throw because I got a busted elbow. I can't throw a spiral. You're an NFL quarterback. You got to be able to throw a spiral.
Yeah.
And these ugly ducklings downfield, we Peyton Manning, after his neck injury, would throw these.
Yeah.
However, Peyton Manning was incredibly experienced and could still throw them accurately. But this is your young quarterback. These are the things that he's going to need to iron out and will eventually do it. And again, John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan made the right pick. They traded up and made the right pick for the future of the team. You want to win now, you go Jimmy Garoppolo. And then you can win in 2022 with Trey Lance.
Jimmy has to be terrible. Terrible. I mean, terrible. Through 4 of the first 5 games to even make a move to Lance at the bye week. Like, forget starting the season with a rookie in. It won't happen. Shouldn't happen. Bad idea. Cut it out already. Okay? Making the move at the bye week would already be a pretty wild move. Like, that's a bad situation. I think that says bad things about the Niners season. You have to hope that you've won those games ugly while Jimmy's terrible. And I just don't think those two things go together. Like, there's going to be some games. I remember in that Super Bowl season, remember the game in a rainy Washington, D.C.?
I was just thinking about that game.
That one. They've had some ugly wins in that year. But nonetheless, I was still a veteran quarterback doing enough and not making mistakes type of game. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he can be terrible and you're still in it. You have to hope you're maybe 2-3 and needing a spark or something at most. You're 3-2 because you've snuck out a couple. You had a pick six save you. You know, some things like that. It's a bad sign if Trey Lance is even coming in week 7 after the bye. That's bad. That's the only way I would do it. And that's not a good sign unless you're somehow winning ugly in spite of Jimmy.
Yeah. The only way I see that is really on the defense and not even on Jimmy. Is if the defense is losing you games, Jimmy is doing enough to keep you in them, but they're not winning. And so it looks ugly and the optics aren't good and maybe you need that spark.
I guess I'm thinking specifically Garoppolo has to be 50% with a negative touchdown interception ratio to in 4 or 5 games, 4 of those 5 to even think about doing this at the bye week in week 6, much less the opener.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it happening but honestly, even if Jimmy's that bad, I don't see it happening because if they're still able to win games because of their stout defense, then they're going to be like, well, they're covering up Jimmy's mistakes.
Oh, Jimmy will knock the rest off still.
Yeah. We'll keep, he's coming off an injury or, something is happening. But could it happen? Absolutely. But barring an injury to Jimmy, I just don't see it. And even Jimmy being horrible, if they're 3-4, they're not going to pull him. If they're 2-3, they're not going to pull him because you do have those 2 wins. And to be honest, we don't see Jimmy lose you a lot of games. You might pinpoint one throw that didn't get made. I can go to every quarterback that's ever been great, and they miss throws. Aaron Rodgers missed throws. Tom Brady misses throws. Drew Brees misses throws.
Oh, yeah.
That just happens in football. And what gets me is the 2019 Super Bowl. That one deep throw that Jimmy didn't make. Did Jimmy play defense in that second half?
Yeah, that was the strangest thing is everybody wanted to pin it on the offense that game. Like, well, you also went away from the run, and unfortunately it was the defense giving up some big plays late that stung, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I mean, it's against Patrick Mahomes. He's going to get his, kind of like LeBron in the NBA. He's going to get his. But you still have to make those key stops, and that defense didn't make any key stops, and that's not on Jimmy. And Jimmy doesn't lose you games. Now, if they are mucked up like that game in Washington a few years ago, where the defense is keeping you in, and Jimmy is just doing enough to maybe win it or lose it for you, I still don't see them pulling him from the starting job.
You know what? This is a non-issue for me, Niner fans. I'm sorry. Yeah. This isn't even a story. It's a non-issue. I'm not even contemplating this. This isn't even on my board of concerns for the Niners going into a season. If I'm a Niner fan, I'm far more concerned about not running the ball real well early on in this game. Now, they would always go forward. That's important. Keep the drive positive on schedule. Yards. Okay, that'd be 2, maybe 3. Number 23, the Cats averaging 3.1 in this game. They go forward, most importantly, but not a lot of room early on, your thoughts on how the run game really didn't look like a whole lot. I know Mostert's not out there, and it's preseason.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, you'd like to look a little better at the most basic fundamental of football.
And that, to me, is the lead that's being buried.
Okay.
The offensive line. This team will go as the offensive line goes.
Agreed.
Trent Williams, they just drained his knee last week. He hasn't been practicing. And he just got that big contract. And I mentioned it last season, this offensive line had stretches where they did not look good at all.
No.
Now, their zone blocking is the biggest part of their run game.
Yeah.
You know, yes, the running backs have been good. They can get outside the tackles. They can bury it inside the tackles. But that only works if they're blocking the defense.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just not really seeing that right now. Emily, how many sacks have they given up in these first two preseason games? Quite a few.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not being talked about enough, is this offensive line. And you're going to have to piecemeal it together at certain points in the season because guys are just going to get hurt. And that's
Nature
part of the
beast,
game.
right?
Yeah. And they're not deep enough, I don't think, to overcome those injuries right now. And you are relying on 2 to 3 key pieces on that O-line. And one of them goes down, you're kind of screwed. And you're behind the 8 ball going into that game. And, you know, this defensive secondary has been taking a lot of heat. They've been playing really well.
They were good,
I think.
I thought.
Yeah. There's
2 mistakes we're going to talk about in the defensive segment. But other than that, that's it.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, sure, tackling and all that. So I think the biggest story is the O-line. Not even the quarterback play. That's being overhyped because it's sexy and it'll get you clicks to keep bringing up a non-issue. Like we said, Kyle Shanahan said, I'm not going to answer that question. And all of a sudden you've got 15 people gleaning from that. Oh, there's a controversy. Oh, he's downplaying the competition. No, he's not. It's just after 2 preseason games, he's just not going to say it.
Yeah.
And just like he's not going to, open his playbook for these games, he's not going to. What is he going to say it for? And you're not going to give anybody in week 1 any opportunity to prepare for you because this is the longest preparation time that they will have all season.
Amen.
I'm just so glad there's only 3 preseason games this year because I can't keep up. I can't keep doing this, and it's getting exhausting as a serious fan of the team. Mm-hmm. But I can also look at it objectively, and I can also look at it with an understanding of how they're going to do business. And nobody else seems to be doing that.
So the quarterback evaluation, not an issue of any sort for me, non-starter, not on my board of things to really go through a checklist of with the 49ers. The lack of a run game, yes, and the offensive line's issues, are one. That's one. That's at the top of the list there, Bab. To talk about the defense, they look fine. Outside of that little bit of contact that got called with a little over 5 minutes to go in the half.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, he bumps into him. I guess it's interference. I don't know. That one's a maybe on me. And then, Clinton Dix blows a coverage on that touchdown. He comes off of coverage to the scrambling quarterback for no good reason. You just kind of hope it's a brain fart assumption that he thought the quarterback was throwing it away by a veteran in his 7th training camp because it looks like he just kind of stops. Otherwise, they're okay. Outside of that flag and Clinton Dix's brain fart, the defense was still what you'd expect them to play like in this game.
Absolutely. And I mean, is a veteran. Mm-hmm. He is in a new team, new scheme, just new atmosphere. I mean, it's going to happen. Again, folks, these are practice games. It's preseason.
Glorified scrimmages in a lot of ways.
Yeah. If he does that at week 2, week 3, okay. Maybe it could be a topic of discussion. But this, I saw Eric Armstead get criticized for being slow. He had a sack early in the game. And he did not give up on that play. He was beaten by Stick 2. I saw shout out Kyle Madsen tweeted out Stick 2 and then he put sports. Fantastic. But and he didn't give up on that play on that sack. He kept his motor going and eventually got it before the Stick could get to the line of scrimmage. So, this defense is going to be fine.
Yeah.
And are they going to be number 2 like under Saleh in 2019? Maybe not. Are they going to be top 5? They have the ability. Mm-hmm. But even 6, 7, 8, I think could be enough for this team to be competing for the Super Bowl.
Nothing about them suggests they're going to be outside of the top half of the league. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not going to be the 15th ranked defense or better. Nothing suggests they're going to be lower than that. Nothing suggests that right now.
Yeah, on paper. And, it is hard to kind of go off paper, but we've seen what this core group of guys is capable of. Mm-hmm. And we're seeing a lot of great things from D Ford. And those are things we didn't see last year out of him. And so if he's able to come in and be productive, he doesn't need to be the stud. That's what you got Bosa for.
Right.
But D Ford, Armstead coming in there, Dre Greenlaw.
Who's 94 that had the safety? Had the 2-run double off of Triples Alley out there. Number 94 for the Niners. I thought his motor goes, man. I kind of like this guy. He sticks out a little bit on that 49ers roster because he bolts around the end. He has the play around the outside to get that.
Oh, was it Solomon Thomas?
Yeah, I think that is who's wearing 94.
Yes,
okay.
Solly is. And we've seen flashes from Solomon Thomas. Mm-hmm. He and Eric Armstead were lined up together a lot when they first came into the league. 6'8" and 6'9" respectively.
Yeah.
Those guys, and they got long arms to get in the passing lanes. Like, those guys are beasts up there. And then you take Bosa coming off the edge. Mm-hmm. I mean, this defense is going to be good. And those quarterback pressures are going to do nothing but help the defensive secondary. Mm-hmm. And I'm actually really high on the defense as a whole.
Now, this former very knowledgeable Raider fan will be suspect of what Arden Key or Shalik Calhoun are going to get you.
Yeah.
Okay. But Arden Key was not untalented.
No.
So
he has ability.
Maybe in this 49ers system, because you had D'Amico Ryans bump up to coordinator, right?
Yeah.
Who was a hell of a linebacker coach, a good linebacker himself. Mm-hmm. They're still in good hands. This system is going to keep running. You know what I'm saying? It's not like Saleh took the playbook with him completely. There's still enough there that you might get more out of Arden Key than the Raiders did.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Key's got the ability. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, the Raiders, I feel like their defense was it's just been in disarray.
It's rudderless in some ways.
It is. And it was not cohesive.
Yeah. Arden Key also, when I evaluated him out of LSU, I believe, I was still doing the draft recaps back then. That was the last one I did, in fact. He, in his skill set, his frame, his whole look, and in some of his off-field choices, reminded me of Bruce Irvin meets Aldon Smith.
Yeah.
He was those two guys combined in a lot of ways. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, and who knows? The Raiders are historically okay with that. And the Niners tend to button it up a bit more and ring that in just a little bit. He's got the ability. He's got talent. I mean, you mentioned Aldon Smith. He was, on his way to the Hall of Fame.
Damn shame is what it was, yeah.
So, I mean, are we going to get Hall of Fame Arden Key? No. But are we going to get a darn serviceable piece of this defense?
Could you get a starter? Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah. So, regardless of how many preseason games they're playing, the second preseason game, the evaluation ends at the end of the first half.
Yeah.
Really, in the big picture. So here you are, Bab, at the end of the first half, in the second preseason game, you're down 2. You had a hold on the Trey Lance run for a converted 2-point conversion. You really should have been 10-10 going into the break. Then, is Robbie Gould trying to hit the right upright? Is he aiming for that thing?
You know what?
Otherwise, it's 10-9 at the half. So give me this whole talk about that and in your first half whole evaluation.
So I mentioned the O-line being, something to watch. This special teams unit could be the Achilles heel. And not in a good way. Like, we're seeing issues from Wisniewski, which we didn't see before. I mean, just his punts aren't crisp or long. Robbie Gould, he's pretty long in the tooth.
Yeah, Father Time waits for no one.
They may need to start looking elsewhere. And, we've even seen blown tackles, the gunners coming downfield, not doing their job, or the return game. And that is going to be something that I think fans should keep an eye on, along with the O-line. But my overall takeaway is, these guys are trying out new things.
Mm-hmm.
You're not seeing any of the playbook. It's Jimmy's back there to be pedestrian. You're not going to sit there and want him to be driving downfield and possibly take a massive hit.
A vanilla scoop with vanilla sprinkles and vanilla sauce on top of it all. That's what they're running.
Yeah, and that is all that it is. So, big takeaways. Defense is going to be better in the secondary than what people are giving them credit for. This Hufanga kid, I think, is going to be great. And we haven't seen a safety patrol the way that he does, maybe since Goldson and Hittner. You know, because those guys patrolled. I mean, Deshaun Goldson was a ball hawk. And we haven't seen that out of the safety position since those two. And so I definitely think the defensive secondary is better. O-line is an issue. Special teams could become an issue.
Yeah.
There's zero controversy at quarterback.
Amen. Jeez. So I'm finishing my notes. Again, I'm watching the CW edit, so there's no halftime. They jump right to the second half. I wasn't planning on watching the second half, but then all of a sudden the first series starts. Oh, okay, I'm finishing these notes I'm reading here. Rookie QB gets sacked to open the second half, then had an overthrow, and that's where I quit watching. Because it's preseason, because it was 12:15 a.m., and because it literally hurt to watch that number 31 for the Chargers play football. Like, ow. I had to avert my gaze. Like, 31. That guy's not going to last on this roster. His last name starts with an N, Newman or something or whatever. I didn't bother to learn it because he's going to end up in Arena Ball or Canada or somewhere like that soon, because that was bad. And that was who Trey Lance picked on. Tip of the cap, kid. You found the guy. Like, that's not nothing, okay? That's like, oh, Trey Lance found that matchup. Good for him. But he exploited a bad second-team guy against the rest of the second-teamers. Then the sack, another overthrow. I'm sorry, non-issue. That we're going to finish. That's our hashtag from this, non-issue.
Some of these guys that he's going up against will be serving ice cream at Cold Stone.
I hope they latch onto that new XFL.
Yeah.
Get some reps there and maybe come back better.
Yeah. And so you can't really glean anything from this.
Let's take a break here on the Blitz. Bab, we're going to do one more time. I got a specific, you'll notice on the YouTube, I have a specific Shakira song queued up. So put up the far right. Yeah, there you go. Put that one up. There you go. I got this song stuck in my head. It's just kind of my jam. I don't know what else to say. Hit that. Click on that one. And let's go to break here on 89.5 FM, KZCT Vallejo. We'll come back talking Warriors right after this. Welcome back to the Fitz Blitz here on 89.5 FM, KZCT Ozcat Radio in Vallejo. Timmy Fitz bringing you the Blitz for the last time. You got to let me get my last lead back in. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And, shout out Shakira. I'm a big Shakira fan.
Okay, I kind of thought so, yeah.
Just her voice, her style, her energy, just kind of, you can't not dance.
Ooh, I did.
Yeah, I mean, my hips don't lie every time I hear Shakira.
Timmy Fitz bringing you the Blitz. Be sure to hit me up on Twitter at TimmyFitz76. Do the same for Stephen Babb.
Babb Sports, BABBSPORTS.
We're going to finish this episode. I maybe should have had you play Controversy by Prince. That's my alarm clock on Mondays. I have a specific alarm song on Mondays for the Fitz Blitz, and it's Controversy by Prince, because it just come in, hey, let's stir it up, let's go, let's blitz, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to say ridiculous things about a non-quarterback battle that shouldn't be happening, but nonetheless, I'll drum up something better than that, something a little higher level, if you will. Last week, the biggest maybe Bay Area restirred controversy. It's like a reheated turd in a microwave, but nonetheless, I don't blame Draymond in his little interview he was doing with KD, and he does a good job at it. I don't blame him for wanting to sort of get the answer. Hey, did that blow up we had in that Clipper game, was that it? Was that what made you leave? And KD addressed it, and this is the quote that stuck out for me about this. Durant said, the whole team in the locker room when Scottie Pippen refused to take that last shot that was supposed to be for Kukoc, and that year that Jordan was out, the whole team in the locker room said, Scottie, that was effed up what you did. We needed that, is what KD is saying, the same thing as what the Warriors needed. We just needed to throw all that on the table and say, yo, Dre and K, that was effed up that we had to go through that. Let's just wipe our hands of that and go finish the task. KD said, I didn't think we did that. We tried to dance around it. I just didn't like how all of that, just the vibe between all that, just makes stuff weird. I'd rather us be who we say we are, family first. Communication is key. We didn't show that. That's why it rubbed me the wrong way. Okay, so instantly, that just raised more questions for me, to be honest with you, Bab. So many questions. Why didn't they have the team talk? Did somebody stop them from having a players-only meeting? Did Bob Myers say, no, you have to only do this apology that I'm telling you to do, and there's no other method to solve this? In that hour and 45-minute talk that Draymond said they had. Like that was it? That was the only option? Was that shut down by management? Did the other players think it wouldn't matter? Or that Draymond wouldn't listen?
Exactly.
These are all the questions that come up. Maybe they just thought, well, it's Draymond being Draymond. Or the natural flare-ups that happen between teammates. Like that happens. Dust-ups happen. I can show you. Kellen Winslow and Dan Fouts getting into it. And I think they were each other's inductor into the Hall of Fame. Like gave each other speeches, right? You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. I here's my ultimate takeaway on this one. On KD and Draymond having this talk, and KD basically saying that, he laughed in Bob Myers' face.
Draymond.
That Draymond laughed in Bob Myers' face and thought that they were going to F this up. I hope Draymond felt comfortable saying this in this interview because this beef with Bob Myers and Kerr has been squashed. Okay? Like they've discussed it already. And though Dre was ticked off at the time, and he's telling the story as it went at the time, things are good now. Okay? That's what I'm hoping is the vibe in this. Like he's recounting something that he was angry about at the time, but now he and Kerr and Bob Myers are good about this because honestly, KD he did his time here that he wanted to do, and he was going to move on to the next thing anyway. He would go on to say later, "Oh, I was going to leave anyway." Like that, what were you going to do? This argument and Bob Myers and that. KD says, "Yeah, this is what I didn't like about it. It was more the way it was handled than the actual disagreement, but it's not really what made me leave." As the interview went on, it's 26 minutes long.
Yeah,
there are stories like this I can tell about disagreements with former Admirals owners.
Yeah, and I really like your point of view there, and I'll let you.
Some of them have remained at odds with, okay? But there are stories like this I can tell about disagreements with former Admirals owners where if I'm telling how I felt at the time, it would seem like I don't like, say, Kevin Riley, Admirals owner, the last one I had at least. It would seem I didn't like him or we don't get along, but I think he's the best owner the franchise ever had. Even if we had a disagreement or two over something at one point. And then as things went on, that got squashed. We move on. Oh, it was annoying what you did to me that time at the tryout, Kevin. It was annoying how we disagreed on some things in 2017 that I'm really not going to get into here on the air that panned out to what I was telling him. Okay, I ended up right on this. And I could, if I rehashed that story, and I won't, because I'm smarter than Draymond in this regard, I think.
Yeah.
I won't, but it would seem like I disagree with him still, or maybe still have beef when it was a disagreement about that. I was right, it worked out, and we're good. You know what I'm saying? So it would seem that way, but at that time is where it exists. I have to hope, really just hope it's like that for Draymond and this Warriors management. Because it is curious. It is odd. Without adding that caveat of, well, we've talked about it since then, we're good now. For him to bring this up about the management of the team he currently plays for. And I get, we could read Steve Kerr's lips about a frustration with Draymond he had at one point a couple seasons ago. We all saw that. But
we all felt that.
Yes, it's not a good look to undermine the decision makers of the franchise you currently play for if you still are under contract with them for a few more years and have championship expectations and are in a bit of a transition period where the moves involving young new core players are at the crux of this transition for this franchise, and their decisions regarding them and how it's viewed can shape the vibe and the energy around this franchise and its championship expectations. It is odd. It is curious. It is strange for Draymond to do that publicly about the team he's still with due to the risk factor of it undermining what they're trying to do right now.
I am not the normal fan, right? I've met Bob Myers a few times, had conversations with him. In fact, he sent me a box full of Warriors practice gear as a gift in thank you.
Awesome.
You'll not find a nicer, more straightforward, more genuine person in all of sports front offices. So what I didn't like at all was Draymond saying I laughed in his face. Mm-hmm. That is incredibly disrespectful. I think Draymond comes off horribly from this. I love your take about it being squashed because I did too, kind of like, wow, like you're saying this about a franchise that is led from the top down in an incredible way. Joe Lacob puts the right pieces in place because he knows you're not successful with yes men. You're successful with smart people in the places that they could have the most ability to succeed. Mm-hmm. That's why you have Bob Myers where he's at. That's why you have Steve Kerr where he's at. Mm-hmm. Now, just such a bad look for Draymond. Now, they complained about management and the way that they handled it. Well, management didn't trust Draymond to do the right thing. Draymond saying, you can't control what I say. Fair. I can't make you apologize, but I have every right to ask you to apologize because I am your boss. I am trying to iron out a difficult situation. Apologize. Now, you could come out and say, hey, you know what? I planned on talking to KD on my own, and I plan on apologizing. Boom, non-issue. You wouldn't need to laugh in anybody's face. And a lot of times on my email, my personal email, there's a footing, and it's a quote from Teddy Roosevelt. Complaining about a problem without proposing a solution is called whining.
Yeah.
that is a mantra in my life because I am such a person that I see issues, I can see and problem solve. I troubleshoot on the fly, like within seconds. I am really good at that because I want to find a solution. Because if I have a gripe or a complaint, I'm not going to just come with that. And I've heard everywhere, when this story broke, was it Thursday or Friday?
Yeah, Thursday.
That everybody complained. The management handled it wrong. Callers calling into radio stations and radio personalities. The management. Not a single person came up with a solution on how they could have handled it better. Okay. None of them. I mean, KD and Draymond didn't come up with a solution how management could have handled it better according to them. And the team coming together. Steph wasn't on that trip.
Right.
Steph wasn't in the locker room. There's reports Klay Thompson spoke up.
Okay.
Klay Thompson doesn't speak up on anything except for IG Live on a yacht.
Except for sailing and his dog. Yeah.
And he speaks up on Rocco issues. He lets us know how Rocco is doing. Other than that, Klay doesn't let us know anything other than the good time he's having and the best life he's living. So for him to say anything in the locker room is huge. And that was in the absence of Steph. Now, the very next day, Steph goes to Draymond's house. And Draymond mentions Steph came over. Yeah. Because Steph is the leader of the team.
Oh, yeah.
Steph is there to help play peacemaker, iron things out. Kevin Durant is an extremely, not a very mature individual.
He's kind of a brooding teenager sometimes, yes? He's kind of like, you picture him listening to a lot of Lorde and like needing that sort of thing.
He's really dramatic.
Okay, yeah.
You know, I think drama kind of follows him for a reason. Now, I also found it weird that you're addressing this, 2-3 years after the fact?
At least now.
Yeah. So why now? 4 clicks on your podcast.
Sure.
And it's one of those things. Yes, fans would like to know behind the curtain what really happened.
Yeah,
you can tell that story without slamming your boss.
Agreed.
And it's really not a good look. I also saw it from the point of view of he's in a lot of trade conversations.
Oh.
He's not in any trade conversations from the Warriors front office. But in the media and on Twitter that all these guys claim to ignore, none of them do.
Yeah.
Especially KD.
They listen.
They listen to everything. And Draymond listens on purpose because he uses that to fuel him in game. I mean, he says that all the time, that he takes that noise and he channels it into something that he can use positively on the court. Now, maybe he's hearing this Draymond for Ben Simmons thing. And I don't want that.
I really don't either.
But I can see the argument. I can see the front office kicking the tires because every successful front office kicks every single tire that might become available. That's just part of sports. And that would be bad business practices if you didn't do that. Imagine how irritated and mad the fan base would be if they didn't kick those tires.
Yeah.
And so Draymond may be hearing this noise, maybe hearing about being traded. He also signed a Clutch Sports. And since he signed to Clutch Sports, he is way more in the media. He is way more out there. He's way more visible. He's getting these hits on TNT post games and in the playoffs. Yeah. And, he was on The Shop, LeBron James's show. And now he's got this podcast called Chips. Not for championships, for chips on your shoulder. And this right here is a very chip on your shoulder event. Because if you feel slighted by the front office, that's going to be a chip on your shoulder. And so that kind of plays into the narrative of what his show is going to be like. And this sets the precedent he's going to be a great soundbite. And that's what he's good for right now is a great soundbite because he's not good for shooting. He's good for defense and passing, but he can't do anything else on the floor. So now he's getting soundbite.
Especially if he's going to continue to play a little timid offensively. There's times where he will I have an open lane here. I'm going to throw it down. Oh, that worked. It did. Yeah, exactly. We kept talking about, God, just 10 points.
10 points.
That'll do.
Yeah.
That's all we need. Because you're probably going to drop some 10 dimes and push 10 rebounds. Like, if you're that 10, 10, and 10, that El Cheapo triple-double, I'll take that all day, bud.
All day.
What I'm saying? Because that's his groove. And, I know Steph likes him and runs with him because he knows how to set Steph up. I love that thing that Draymond does where he does the little handoff toss to Steph, and in the process, while the ball's still in the air, he sets the screen on his guy, and the next thing is Steph needs 4 inches of space to shoot a 3, right? That's all he needs. And that's it. And the defense and directing everybody, there are a lot of good on-court things Draymond does, even as he physically declines a bit at 31-2 now. But nonetheless, I understand the leverage he has of still being on that contract, of still being a very valuable player, of still being a very valuable player in the eyes of your actual most valuable player, the leverage that gives him, the platform he has. I thought he did a great job in the act of interviewing, but it was curious to have that element of it. A little odd. I'm not slamming him. I get wanting to complain about your boss. I've done it for a couple months now. I get that, but it's an odd choice in time to do that now in that context for the team you're still playing for.
Yeah, and I have 2 actually big issues. One, it's the people you're doing it with. And so I really hope that you're seeing something there with maybe it's already squashed. It's a non-issue today. My second big issue is you've got 3 young pieces on this team and you're talking bad about your front office.
Who are going to look up to you, who are an influence to you. Yes,
especially
to the free agents you're trying to woo.
Yeah, and especially since you can mentor these guys on defense, and you can bring their defense to another level that maybe another teammate can't.
Yeah.
You know, Clay's not going to be that vocal leader to teach you defense. He'll show you by example, but he's not going to be that guy like Draymond, the floor general, who in game is coaching you.
Yeah.
Now, so for him to bash the front office and now be a kind of a bad role model for these guys, Draymond needs to understand, and there's other people, and this has been talked about, he's not as valuable on any other team. He's extremely valuable on this team.
Sure.
He's got a contract that is bloated.
Yeah.
I don't think any other team would give him this contract. And, I mean, you don't have Daryl Morey. You don't have Sam Presti. You don't have these other GMs and team owners that you could have a gripe with.
Yeah.
I mean, Bob Myers has been phenomenal since he took over in 2012. He's made right decisions. People want to slam him for picks. Yeah, you're picking 28th, 29th in the draft. Who exactly are you going to get? And with James Wiseman, I think he hit this pick because I think Wiseman is going to be good to at least great, or at least good to great, if not phenomenal. And Kuminga and Moody, I think, are going to be excellent pieces on this team. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again on air. I think this could be the next homegrown big three.
Yeah.
And that is how you're successful in this league. Look at Greg Popovich.
Yeah.
And all his homegrown talent. Now you're starting to see it again. And I do think with these aging big three, this could be the next big three.
And he's got 3 more years. He's got 21, 22, 22, 23, 23, 24 at about 25 mil a year. You're right. I don't know another team that thinks he's worth 25 a year. I'm just saying.
Not at this moment. Not in this time.
Not at age 31 right now, as we've talked about. Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned your philosophy, that quote that you like to use from, was it Teddy Roosevelt?
Teddy.
Yeah. And give it to me one more time.
Complaining about a problem without proposing a solution is called whining.
Okay. And that sort of hints at preparation, analysis, looking into the true details of a situation. I have one of those. It's from Branch Rickey.
Okay.
And it's luck is the residue of design.
Yes, I love that.
Luck is the residue of design. So your preparation, the work you've done, what you've put in. As I sign off here on the Blitz, put in a lot of time, a lot of hard work into, some weird minor league independent baseball to restarting my career in high school sports, that Raiders podcast, to NAIA D1, covering 13 sports by myself, in a lot of ways. Luck is the residue of design, and I always believe that. And my design and my prep has led to some things falling my way recently, and I'm going to cash in on that. I'm going to, you keep making good friends in your world that you're in, because that goes a long way. And in our world, network in a way where you're not asking for something in return. And myself, Brian Brownfield, and I always had that relationship. And, that it may seem like luck that has me making this jump up to a D1 mid-major, but is the residue of design.
I have seen very few people as prepared in anything as you are. You definitely put in the work that, with this radio show, people don't see. But you hear how succinct Tim is with his opinions, his views, and his monologues.
You see my script the night before,
That is prep, ladies and gentlemen. And I like that quote from Branch Rickey. And I was thinking yesterday, and I got a little choked up about wins and celebrating each other and how things seem to be coming together for me, for you, for even other friends of mine. We're chalking up a W after coming out of difficult situations, and just preparing, bringing value. That's another thing that helps bring luck, is the fact that you bring value to a situation, and that is exactly how you network. you make yourself valuable to where other people want to put you in positions to succeed, because that will help them in some way, shape, or form because of your value.
So that will do it for this series, the show of the Fitz Blitz, here on 89.5 FM, KZCT Ozcat Radio in Vallejo. Bab, and I'm going to go use specifically into the YouTube window again. I want you in that search over there. I want you to click on up there in the search up top. Give it to me. Give me Controversy by Prince. And that's how we're going to go out here today. We always had just the right amount of controversy. It was never inflated. It was never fake. It was never contrived. It was never clickbait. It was always the real deal. That's what we're going to do. How we'll exit here on this Fitz Blitz. I can't thank everyone enough. I can't thank Ozcat Radio enough for giving me this platform back in 2013 when I wanted it. And it was everything I needed and wanted. And I thank the Ozcat station. I thank the Vallejo community and everyone who has been my biggest fan in this time here. It's been my pleasure to, bring you monologues that veer off from sports into important social issues, not politics, social and cultural issues, and often the way they affect sports. There was often a tie-in. I thank Ozcat Radio for that freedom. I'm not on ESPN where they're going to limit what I can talk about, I thank you for that. I thank everyone for tuning in. I thank my guy Bab. I thank Chris Owens, Chris Zavaglia, Pete Turner, John Leon Guerrero, Marilyn Pittman, Emily Van Buskirk, Allie Williams, everybody who's been on the show. I know I'm sure I'm forgetting some right now, but it's been great to have a variety of analysis and do my sports show my way, the Fitz Blitz, attacking all angles, attacking all sports from all angles, including right up the gut. Thank you for tuning in. Peace.